So Final Fantasy 1. The Final Fantasy that literally started it all.
This game came out back in 1987.
What do I have to say about this old game? You know, initially I was a little bit not concerned, but I didn't think that I would have much to talk about, this being such a basic of the basics, yeah? Also, in terms of how much I would enjoy the game, I just wasn't sure. I was like, how much can I really like this game? Having have played now 4 other games that came out years after this one, how much
Can I really enjoy the original?
But let me tell you, I am so surprised with how much I loved this game. So how does Final Fantasy 1 hold up in 2021? Well, let's just start off with the basics like we usually do. Now, the story in this is about as complex as a banana.
What?
Okay, maybe that was a weird analogy to use. Man, that was weird.
Yes.
No, but the story in this game is not complicated at all. Obviously, a lot of the Final Fantasy games are known for having really good stories. Now, this one, it wasn't its main focus. That does not go without saying that I definitely felt myself immersed into a beautiful world of fantasy. Goblins, ogres, wolves, all these kind of fantasy creatures that you can imagine. I went against them all. And I have to say, this game definitely represents what it is supposed to be. You got your 4 warriors, you got your 4 big bosses with the different elements, and you gotta go save the world. So even though the story in this game is not super complex, I liked it. I liked how simple it was. This game was made during a time that Final Fantasy games, they weren't meant to have super complex, crazy, convoluted stories. It was simple and to the point. And in a way, that simplicity made it so beautiful. Characters. I loved being able to customize my characters. Rather than giving me a cast of 4 to 8 characters, party members to choose from, I had to choose 4 out of 6 different possibilities. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Not to mention that I named almost every single one of my characters after different Final Fantasy characters from different games. Except for my warrior. The warrior I called the Warrior of Light. Or since that didn't fit, I put WOL. I also had a white mage and I named her Yuna. I had a thief and I called him Locke. And lastly, I had a black mage who, come on, how could I not call him Vivi? Now, I played the newest version of this game, which is on the PSP, and oh my gosh, did I love how this game looked. And you know how I said with Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy VI that they have that different art style? I had said that I really enjoyed it. Even though that art style was different and cool in its own way, I can see how this art style with the sprites is so much better. I can't explain why, but it just feels so much more old style Final Fantasy-ish. I love the art style. This art style is, again, one of those that just makes the game look timeless. No matter when you play it, you will know you are playing a classic RPG, not an eyesore, but a staple of how all these different RPGs got started. Game looks beautiful, story is great, character is great. Let's get into the gameplay. I loved the gameplay. You go back to your basics. I kind of like not having the ATB gauge where, you know, feel like I'm pressured. Fast. Final Fantasy X is the one that started for me, and in that game there was no time gauge. And I didn't end up finding this out until later, but each level was randomized in the sense that your stats that go up, you never knew what was gonna go up. And this didn't happen often, but when I did have to look up different playthroughs to just kind of see where I had to go. I remember finding myself being a little bit weirded out when some of the stats from their characters was either much higher or much lower than some of mine. And then when I found out that it had nothing to do with like me doing anything wrong or them doing anything wrong, but it was just complete luck, it added this other level of excitement every single time one of my characters leveled up, because I was like, oh, is it going to be a good one? Is it going to be a bad one? Similar to the feeling that I get with the Fire Emblem games. Now, while this game was quote unquote lacking in abilities, there's no mug ability for the thief. The warrior also didn't get any kind of guard ability or nothing like that. In a way, I almost felt like I didn't need it because I really enjoyed myself with the magic in this game. Now, one of my critiques for Final Fantasy V, I think it was that every time I got to a new town, I would have to run over to see if there was new magic for me to learn. And most of the time, I already knew the magic, and even if I leveled up my character a bunch, I was like, well, it doesn't really matter because there's no cool new spells at this new town. Completely different feeling with this game. Every single time I got to a new town, there was new magic guaranteed, and that made it so freaking exciting for me. And I ended up learning some pretty cool magic really soon into the game. Like all the Fire, Thundara, Blizzara, all those moves. I think I got those by the third, maybe third, fourth town, something like that. I just remember that when I did get it, I was like, whoa.
Wow.
I also got really excited when I found out that all of those upgrades to my magic attacked all of the enemies, made grinding so much easier. And again, slightly commenting on the visuals of this game, the magic looks dope. Flare, Holy, Fyra, Thundara, Thundaga. All of these look really good. And again, with this little graphical update, it didn't make me feel like I was playing a super old game. In terms of navigation, even the game was so simple and streamlined to the point where, like, especially at the beginning, I was just like, oh, new town here, new town there. A little bit later into the game, I did have to look some stuff up to see where exactly I had to go. For the most part, not as much as I had to do with other games, I did not have to look anything up. And as you all know, that is a huge plus for me. So I know this was a relatively quicker video compared to all my other Final Fantasy reviews that I have done so far, but I just feel so happy and satisfied with this game. Yes, while I'm not here sitting here praising it and showering it with love because I had a billion things that I loved, I'm also not here ranting about other things that I didn't like about it. It was just a very nice, enjoyable game that so far, I think out of all the Final Fantasies, it's the one that I want to go back to the most, at least for now, and start a new game and try a different team and just see how it goes. This time maybe do tackle some of the extra dungeons that came along in this game. Maybe this time actually try and find some of the best weapons that I can get in this game. I think that this is such a good way to start the franchise. A nice, simple RPG that'll just carry you away. And I want to come back to it. I really, really do. Alright, that pretty much covers it. With most of these reviews, we have a little bit of a special unboxing to do. With this Final Fantasy, I went a little bit all out with my collectible. I got myself a big baby. Now this content unboxing is going to be a little bit different, just because the top of the box has actually already been opened, but the bottom of the box has not. Pretty much the equivalent. I'm just going to pop it open from the bottom, and that's going to be how we're going to be doing
a special katana unboxing today.
Because that is what we're doing today. We are going to be unboxing a Final Fantasy variant play arts of the Warrior of Light. And I'm super excited. This is my reward for beating the first game, and with all the other Final Fantasies, I'm also like collecting little things. For example, this is the one that I got for beating Final Fantasy V. But this one I really wanted to go all out. And I'm not gonna be doing this with every Final Fantasy, but this is a Final Fantasy that started it all, and I think the Warrior of Light is freaking dope. So we're gonna do a special unboxing today. This baby costs a little bit more money. I did get it at a really good price, I will say. That's why I did it. But let's go ahead and get right into this unboxing. I have been waiting to open this for a while now, and I am a little bit nervous. Okay, so there's the tape. This is the big thing that we have to unbox. Let's see how this goes. I might be getting better. Oh, it's gonna be easy. Oh my god! Oh, let's freaking go! For the first time in the history of these sort of unboxings, I just did a perfect cut. The perfect freaking unboxing. We did one simple slice on our first try, and the box is completely undamaged. I will say, out of all my unboxings, I'm glad that this is the one where I got the perfect one, because okay, I've been so excited. I'm so excited. I've been waiting to do this for a while, so let's go ahead and jump into this. Hopefully there's no more crazy things to unbox and open up. Really quickly, I will show off. Man, this is a big bubble. This is what the inside of the box kind of looks like. Yeah, let's just jump into this thing. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, it smells like a collectible, whatever that means. Okay, so we're gonna put that over there. Oh wow, this is gonna be a little bit more complex than I thought. Okay, so it looks like I found something else that we have to open up with the sword. Okay, so it comes with a cool little cape. Let's just go ahead and yeet that. Wow. Okay, that wasn't pretty, but it was effective. As long as I don't damage the merchandise, that's all I really care about. I want to see it all come together. I feel like that's when I'm really going to be like, ooh. I also do want to say, this is going to be kind of like a hardcore judge review thing where I'm going to judge whether or not I want to get more of these play art Kai things, because there's obviously a lot more of these. Ooh. Almost every Final Fantasy game, not all of them, but almost every Final Fantasy game. If I find them to be really worth it and really beautiful, maybe I'll get more. But for now, we're starting off with this one, and this is going to be a huge deciding factor as to whether or not I get more of these. So here's the dude. And take this off. So right off the bat, let me tell y'all, this feels like it's high quality. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so here we go. I think I finally got it. I'm like sweating here. It's been at least 30 minutes, but I think we finally got it done. Whew. Well, let me show you all the masterpiece. Here he is. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, so this is something I've talked about time and time again, but for now, this is the setup that we have, and here is the man of the hour. We got a little Wolfie in the back. I'm not gonna lie, he looks pretty freaking dope. I did struggle a little bit initially setting him up, but nah, he looks awesome. He really does. He looks powerful as all heck. I gotta get used to like poses and stuff. There he is, the Warrior of Light. Ignore the fact that I'm wearing a different shirt. I really briefly did want to show him off in the big camera. There we go. Even the focus is allowing it to happen. Look at this dude. Look at the amount of detail on this guy. It is crazy. And I did actually end up going with this cape just because I feel like it covers up the stand a little bit more. The stand isn't quote unquote the most pretty thing about him. He looks absolutely dope. Oh god. I think that the swords around him add a really nice touch, and honestly, I do really like this figurine. It's really growing on me. Well, at first I wasn't really sure how I felt about it, and especially I got thrown up by how complicated it was to set it up. Looking at him now, I think he's absolutely dope. And again, I really just wanted to take the time to show off the detail on this guy. He looks freaking dope, and I see no better way to freaking immortalize Final Fantasy 1 in my life than with this figurine. Okay, back to the other shirt meme. Alright everyone, so there he is. Got to take a little bit of a closer look at him. He looks pretty freaking cool. Alright everyone, so now we're going to shift gears and talk about the Warrior of Light in Dissida. Okay, so let's really quickly talk about the Warrior of Light in terms of his story in Dissida. So as we mentioned earlier in the review, there isn't much story to Final Fantasy 1. But from the little bit of story that there is in this game, we know that at the very end, Garland talks about a cycle and how he has this super evil plan and he's gonna, you know, it doesn't really matter if we kill him or if they die because he's just gonna keep repeating itself and it's a cycle and you know, classic Final Fantasy confusing lore. Now throughout the Warrior of Light story in Dissida, it's mostly him running into different villains from different Final Fantasy games. But what is pretty cool and is a super huge homage to Final Fantasy 1 is in one of the last scenes when you're going against Garland and you're about to beat his story, Garland talks about the cycle and he talks about how like, oh, you can fight me all you want, but you know, it's all about the balance, and if you kill me, you know, we're gonna, you know, and he just kind of goes on to connect it with the story that they have in Final Fantasy 1, you know, the little bit of story that they have, and I thought that was super cool. Overall, as a character, playing with him, I can probably say that I had an easier time with him than I did with Terra, although Bartz up until now has still been my favorite character to use, considering that I've only played through 3 Final Fantasy games so far. As I'm playing through Final Fantasy 2, I've dabbled in Furion, but gameplay wise, the story of Light is pretty cool. He's pretty cool to use. Is he my main? Am I the best with him? No. Still a little bit better with Bartz. But again, very enjoyable to use as a character as far as like specific moves that are unique to him that connect with the original game. There really aren't any, because what they did with him was they created a bunch of different unique set of moves that are, you know, special to the Warrior of Light, because as we know, there is no quote-unquote Warrior of Light in Final Fantasy 1. There's the Warriors of Light, but there's no this guy who you're seeing on screen right now. There is no him. And same thing with the collectible that we got. Now with the collectible, y'all saw all those different swords kind of coming out, you know, him being able to, I guess, kind of control those. That's something that's completely unique to Dissida, because that's obviously that's not seen at all in Final Fantasy 1, but I thought that was pretty cool, especially when he goes into his EX mode. That's when you can see all the different swords coming out and slashing the enemy, and I think that's super dope. But yeah, that pretty much covers it for Warrior of Light stuff. Once again, I am so happy to be able to say that I beat Final Fantasy 1. So alright everyone, that's gonna do it for this episode. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I have some more Final Fantasy games to get to. This has been a long enough video as it is, and all I know is this was a really cool experience, and I definitely want to go back to Final Fantasy 1 and have a different team. Alright everyone, thank y'all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, all that classic jazz. And thank y'all so much for watching, for I will see you all next time. Wolfpack.